What's up, everybody? Austin McDaniel here, also known as PI on Trail. And today I'll be doing a video over my 5 steps for being ultra light. This is something that I've kind of worked up to over the course of many years, backpacking in the Ozarks before setting out on my Triple Crown journey, the Appalachian Trail in 22, Continental Divide Trail in 23, and Pacific Crest Trail in 24. And all of those through hikes I did at ultralight base weights. And so I figured I would kind of go over that and talk about my system for how I got there and how it can help you. I think this video will help you get your weight lower at the minimum, maybe get below that 10-pound mark, or maybe even more, who knows? So I'll get right into it. Step one is you need to understand your why. If you don't know why you want to go ultralight, well, then you're not going to stick with it. You're going to get on trail and you're going to be hiking, think you need some comfortable thing and be mad you don't have it and not realize the benefits you have. So understand your why. For me, that's the big one is injury prevention. If I'm carrying less weight, that's less strain on my muscles. That's less likely I'm going to hurt myself. And so being able to reduce the injury is really important. A lot of people have to end their through hikes because they get injured. A lot of that could have been prevented if they probably were just carrying less weight. They could have been safer out there. I think another big thing is you're more efficient. If I have someone with 70 pounds on their back and I took that pack off and let them walk, they're going to walk further and faster than they would carrying heavy weight. Idea is the same if you're going ultralight. Okay, if you're at a 10-pound base weight and your overall weight can stay below 20 pounds, you're going to move a lot better than that guy or girl that's carrying 40 pounds. So you're going to be faster, efficient. You're going to be able to maneuver better. If you have an ultralight small kit and you're going through a trail, something that has maybe a lot of blowdowns, you're going to be able to climb up and over those trees, or you're going to be able to get around stuff. You're going to be able to go through brush a lot better. You're going to be able to, like on the Appalachian Trail, you're going to be able to go up mountains that you need to kind of scramble a little bit or climb through stuff. You're going to be able to do that better. It's just much easier if you don't have all this weight pulling around on you or this big space that's snagging on stuff. So being able to maneuver. So just kind of recap the why. Could be for injury prevention. Could be for efficiency, moving faster, longer days. It could be for maneuverability. Okay, understand your why, find out what's most important, and that'll keep you on track as you're cutting down weight. It'll give you more motivation to keep cutting that weight. So I think for knowing how to cut weight, I would move over to step 2, which is start at 0. I think a lot of people have their big kits and they think, well, I'll just take this out, I'll take that out. No, start at 0, work your way up. Make a list. Think of a hypothetical situation. If you were out there and you only had 10 things, what is the most essential thing or things you would need? For example, you would need a backpack to carry your stuff. You would need something to keep you dry. You need to be able to sleep warm. And that's kind of the most important stuff right there. I would say you would need, say, extra layers. You would ideally maybe need, again, I would recommend you would need a way to keep your water clean, so water filter. But as you see, if you're building up, you realize, well, okay, that's the most minimal stuff. And you're not going to overpack. So work your way up. What do you absolutely need? Not the what ifs, not the, well, what if this happens, but what do you absolutely need? And then you can always add later. So start at ground zero, work your way up. Okay. This is also important, I think, to think about when you think of an individual piece of gear. If I'm looking at something like a sleep pad and you're putting that on your list of, I need a sleep pad. Okay. But what is the most minimal version, like the ground zero, where I go from ground to actually having something? Well, maybe that looks like an 1/8-inch foam pad, like the Gossamer Gear one. That would be the most minimal. Start with that. Start at the most minimal. If you find out that's not enough, then you can add. But don't start with the big one, because then you might not ever know if you could go with the lesser. So start at ground zero. That would be my step 2. And that's, again, ground zero. So now that we kind of talked about maybe the idea of how to look at what to carry, let's talk about the things we're carrying. So step 3 is looking at the big things. Okay. The big things are going to be the bulk of your weight. That's going to be like your shelter system. That's going to be your sleep system. That's going to be your clothing system. Most people don't include that as like a big item, but as a system, it's a lot of your weight and volume. So your clothing system. And then you could look at your pack system. So what kind of pack are you carrying? Big pack, smaller pack, fanny pack, extra stuff, your overall packing system and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and kind of mention a little bit about that. If you're looking for ways to lower those weights, for example, I mentioned about the sleep system. I mentioned the pad. Start at the most minimal. What keeps you somewhat comfortable? If you're going to go in a way colder climate, you're starting in a later season, and you need more warmth, okay, then add up. Start slowly adding R value, but start at the bottom with something like an 1/8 inch pad. If you're looking for your warmth, what is the temperature of the trail you're on? If the average lows are going to be 30, and they maybe could have a 5-degree night, don't pack a 0-degree bag. Pack something a little in the middle. Maybe go 20 degrees and understand that you're going to be fine on that one night that might drop down really low. You're not going to be in a dangerous situation. You're just going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. I'll take one uncomfortable night for an entire comfortable time hiking the trail. That's kind of the give and take with ultralight, is you're giving up a little comfort here and there, but you're going to be more comfortable hiking the trail. So that's kind of how I go about my temperature with my warmth and my sleep system. Also, you could go from a bag to a quilt. You know, it's preference. I think quilts are nice. They cut a little weight. A bag is nice because maybe you can get away with it not being as warm because it keeps the heat in better. Again, it's fine. But don't overdo it. Your shelter system, really important. You don't need a full enclosed shelter if all you're trying to do is stay dry. What does that? A tarp. Tarp would be the ground zero. You could just get a tarp. Now, if that doesn't work for you and you need to add in some bug protection, put a head net on. Try that out. See how that works. If that doesn't work, okay, maybe look at going back to a tent. But what kind of tent? Or do you need a freestanding tent, or can you get away with a trekking pole tent? Try the trekking pole tent. Make sure you're comfortable with that. That's how you can start cutting weight on those pieces of gear. If we're talking about your clothing system, do you have extra clothes? Because you don't need extra clothes. You're not trying to impress anybody out there. If something gets torn, whatever, no big deal. You're going to get to town in a couple days. You're not out there surviving for multiple weeks. It might be a little awkward if you tore a hole in your shorts in a certain place, but what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Someone might laugh at you. Big deal. Don't carry a bunch of extra stuff if you don't need it, but have layers. Layers are needed pieces of gear. They're not extra, they're needed. You're going to need something to maybe warm you up a little bit. You might need an extra puffy or a fleece, or maybe you might need extra leggings. You're going to need maybe a raincoat layer to keep the rain off of you. Those are layers. So if you're looking at your clothing system, keep it minimal, ground up. You don't need extra stuff. What do you absolutely need? And I think that kind of covers it for the big stuff. If we're moving on, the next step would be step 4. That would be the small stuff. So looking at the small stuff, that's pretty much everything I didn't mention. That's all your little trinkety things. So your ditty bags, your medical kit stuff, your tent stakes, your accessory items that go with everything else. You need to focus on this too, because just throwing a whole medical kit in your pack or having all the extra luxury things like a big full thing of toothpaste or a big full toothbrush or having a hairbrush or having all these big things seem nice, but that all adds up too. When you put them all in a big bag, that could be a lot of weight you could be saving. What's the bare minimum? Okay, maybe I need some medicine, but what do I need medicine for? I need to get to town. Okay, I'm not trying to take a whole bunch of medicine from that point for the next 5 weeks. I'm just trying to get it to town, and then I'll deal with what I need to deal with. So for me, my medicine looks like just some ibuprofen for inflammation, Tylenol for headache, or if I got sick, maybe some anti-diarrhea if I have bad water or something, maybe some Benadryl or some other type of allergy medicine, but just enough to get to town. Keep that simple. That small stuff adds up. With your medical stuff, how much tape are you carrying? Are you carrying full big rolls, or are you going to carry a bunch of a little bit? Go minimal. Your small stuff adds up. If I'm looking at other small stuff like tent stakes, what do you need? Does your shelter require 8, 10? Are you carrying extra? Don't carry extra. Keep it with just what you need. So focus on the small stuff there. That being said, I'll move on to my final step, step 5, and that is research and test. So I've kind of alluded to it a little bit, but research your gear, okay? Once you know the big ticket items that you need and you think there could be a lighter or easier version for that piece of gear, research it. See what other people have done. Watch gear review videos. Go to some websites from gears, see what other options they have. Once you have that gear, test it. If you already have the gear and you didn't think it would work in a certain situation, test it. Who knows? Maybe take that 1/8" foam pad and test it in the 5 degrees, see how you do with it. Who knows? Maybe you could have been carrying that thing at 20 degrees this whole time, but you never know unless you test it. And you need to test it safely because, yeah, you don't want to go bring the wrong piece of gear on a trail thinking it's okay, but you don't know. That's where you can get into a dangerous situation. All right, so that was kind of my quick little vlog style spiel on 5 steps to be ultralight. I hope this helps you get your kind of base or your kit as minimal and lightweight as you want it to be. If you have any questions about anything, maybe tips and tricks that it'll be a while before I cover, feel free to comment down below. I'll try to answer as I go. If you like this content, give it a like. And yeah, if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, guys, have a good one. Bye. Okay, that's getting cold.